All right, welcome everybody to this video. I'm very excited to present to you one of my the people that I've been working with for quite a long time now. I think a year plus at this stage, and I'm super excited not just for what we've accomplished so far, but what we can accomplish next. So ultimately, this is just a check-in of what we've been able to accomplish so far, and see what else is possible. So Adam, welcome. I would love to for you if you could introduce yourself to everyone else, just so they understand who you are and what type of coach you are and why you even got into that type of business in the first place.
Awesome. Guido, thank you, brother. It's great to connect on this forum, man, and yeah, talk about the story up to now. So I'm in the health game. So a health coach, but my niche and my focus is around detoxification. So through my own personal journey, starting around 10 years ago, I had some health issues and tried all the things, tried the biohacking, functional medicine, all of that. All of it had value, but where I found real solutions was in cleaning house of my external environment and detoxifying my body, and then the light switched back on and health came back. And then I saw a real need for this. So around 2.5, 3 years ago, made the leap full time into this whole process. And now today have a really successful business coaching people through this process online and getting their health back. So helping with like chronic fatigue, skin issues, anxiety, digestive issues, all of the modern day ailments that people suffer with today, giving them a solution that actually works versus a lot of the kind of alternative solutions really still are kind of band-aid solutions. So give them actual solutions. And more importantly, from my perspective, giving them skill sets on how to be healthy in 2025.
Absolutely. Okay. And being honest, I actually, because we started working together, I went through your program and I definitely got a lot better myself with a lot of my brain fog as well as energy post sleeping. So if
Mm.
anybody has any issues, health issues specifically, I really encourage you guys to check out Adam and his Instagram and YouTube. Now, just to clarify on the size that you're at this point. So how many clients have you helped in total at this stage, more or less?
Oh man. Um, well, with the main offer, I think we're just tipping 200 now. And what I love is with having the growth mindset, the continual refinement of the process, the results keep getting better. Even today, I was recording some new videos to add into the program just because as a team, we're constantly looking at how to improve the experience. Because ultimately, you can do all the front end stuff, get good marketing, etc. But the real key is getting the results, being heart focused first and serving. So to this point 200, but I really see it's like this, and we're about to do this exponential curve where we start bringing in a lot more clients monthly. And yeah, man, it's just a real gift just serving people in this way, and and you'll see from the Slack community the feedback we're constantly getting. I'm screenshotting it all the time because it's great. It's great content to show. Even when people are in the process, they're seeing the results. Not even they don't have to wait to get to the end of the process of the 4 months or however long they stay. They're seeing it straight out the gate, making small changes, which is
Mhm.
fantastic.
Absolutely. I think coaching is about that. I think a lot of people in this space forget that, sure, we can make a lot of money, but if we're not helping people or a good
Mm,
percentage of the people that join, then what is it really for, right? But
mhm,
in your case, I always loved that about you from the beginning. You were about results first.
mm.
And I think just scaling that is the best part about it, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you could also just tell me a little bit about your situation
Hmm.
before we kind of started partnering and working together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where was your business at? What responsibilities did you have? Did you have to take care of on a daily basis?
Yeah. So here's the deal, man. Like you have a skill set. What I learned very early on, you could be the best person at something irrelevant if you do not understand the marketing, the sales function system. It's irrelevant. And there's a lot of people out there that have amazing gifts, but they never get anywhere because they don't understand how important this whole bit is. And also, let's call it out. You don't necessarily have to be skilled in all the areas. It's about leveraging people that know what they're doing, aka people like you. So I started off with insane amounts of enthusiasm. I had a system that worked. I'd done it on myself and I'd perfected it. The old way I used to do it was to literally manually just coach people one on one, teach them, teach them, teach them. They'd remember 10%. And I was like, this isn't working. So then eventually I realized I need to go onto the kind of online video model. And then, I mean, man, it took me forever to build a course out. My goodness. Built it out. And then I was like, right, I've got it. The product's here. And then I realized, oh, and I've got no customers and I've got no way of finding customers. So I've quickly realized that I needed a system. And I spent a lot of money that got me zero results. I won't name the company, but I worked with a relatively big company that basically focused on Facebook ads and Facebook funnels. So not Meta, just pure Facebook. And I I spent 15 grand on the course. I spent another 3 to 4 grand on ads. Zero return, like zero. And I was like thinking, oh my goodness, like this is really difficult. Uh, and then so that was the situation. Then I was just like obsessing about there must be a way. I can see similar people doing similar things, not necessarily detox that have success. So there's got to be a way. But obviously, you can't just reach out and be like, "What are you doing?" Because no one wants to reveal their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, "Yeah, I'm doing this." And I stumbled across. It's just pure fate. I remember I was sitting on my sofa, and I was just kind of scrolling on Instagram, and I came across this ad of Adam, who is an Instagram coach, and it was the craziest thing. I saw this guy, and I just thought something in me just said, "Oh, I'll just book a call." Literally, I don't even know what drew me to it because I was seeing all these other kind of similar characters in the space, and they were all promoting, "Look at my Lamborghini," and all like creating this lifestyle, and I'm like, that's BS. And again, I wouldn't say I'm intuitive or an intuit, but I can feel the energy of people. I'm like, you're creating a false kind of lifestyle. It's BS. Adam's ad came. I was like, I resonate with this guy. I can tell he's a guy who's got some skill sets. So I booked the call. I actually had to cancel the call last minute, but we rescheduled, and I had the call with Adam, and his offer was solid. I resonated with him, and again, his mission was to teach me how to create a funnel within Instagram. And I thought to myself, that's kind of where it's at today. Like Facebook's basically for like, people your parents' age in Facebook groups, right? And I'd actually even tried a Facebook group method with another coach, didn't work. So I was like, right, going all in on Instagram. But then I was looking at other people because I'm very good at understanding patterns. I'll be looking at people and be like, they're doing something. I know they're doing it, but I don't. What are they doing? And again, you can't ask these people because they're not going to say anything. So I was like, in anything in life, work with people who know what they're doing. So Adam basically opened up and gave me the playbook on exactly how I need to run Instagram, what I need to do, the systems I need to create, and I got to work. Now, what was fantastic, I started making money. I remember the first month I worked with him, it was like zero. Hang on. No, like in January, I earned like many years ago. I earned like $5,000, £5,000 from like it was a random client who heard me on a podcast. And then in February, the system started to kick in. I was getting all these calls, and I had to learn the skill of selling. And weirdly, I come from a sales background, but it's not like what I thought was selling isn't selling. Like I was doing relationship management for like my previous life. This art of selling is a different game. So I had 12 calls in February, zero sales because I was learning the skill. And then March I earned 10K, and then April I earned like 20, and I was like, oh my God, it's working. But with all of that financial success, I was also very quickly hitting burnout because I was doing like again, there's a whole system that you need to build this whole thing out, and I was doing it all on my own, and I was literally just I was fried. But like the April, I was literally just fried, and as I entered into May, intuitively my brain was like, I don't want to do this. I like it's not worth the amount of pressure and stress and workload. So we got things working, and then I was start, and then I'm figuring out marketing, and then the systems are coming in. So there's just a whole new load of stuff that Adam was really helpful in teaching me. But then, I spoke to him and I was like, Adam, I can't do this, man. This is not long. This is not sustainable. I'm literally ruined doing running the ads, creating content, setting, closing, fulfillment. I was like, I can't do it, man. So Adam got me on boards, got me into a system. Was like, right, this works. I'm making this proof of concept, and I'm getting a result that it works. But now I'm basically hitting a ceiling. Subconsciously, my body was like, no, like you can't keep doing that. You're gonna flatline. So that's where I got to before you came into the picture.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And Adam is a great friend of mine. It's always tough for us to work three of us together because we both have the same name.
Mm,
But yeah, Adam's amazing. I love him to death, and he's really, really good at ads in general and getting things rolling in that end as well as marketing. And then he has
mm,
a very good concept of setting and closing as well. But
mm,
the thing is, doing that as the business owner is one thing. Another
mm,
is then hiring other people to replicate what you've done successfully while
mm,
still not giving you the same stress because now you have to manage new people into your
mm,
business,
mm,
which I think from everything that I've helped you with is maybe the thing that I've contributed the most
mm.
out of all things. So at that stage, just so we have some numbers, I think that can be helpful. How much were you making? What was your top cash collected month with you closing and
I think it was around 15K.
15?
Yeah, 15K
Okay.
US. I was floating around 10 to 15, but it wasn't again, it wasn't sustainable because I was just doing everything. So like and also it's what I also realized it's really emotional doing all the different things. For example, like I remember setting and just people messing you around or being rude in the DMs because again this is the game of social media. They think what I realized is average not average people like people who aren't seeing social media platforms as purely just a form of entertainment. They think it's okay just to abuse people or written on and sometimes even in BMs. The rejection of not getting a close. Like it's a real emotional element to it because essentially you are the brand. I am the brand, right? I'm selling a solution, but the brand is the brand of Adam, and that's really tough as well because it's a lot of having to accept rejection and deal with people just messing you around. That was tough, along with all the other things. So that's the emotional kind of stresses, along with the physical stress of just doing the workload, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then maintaining that for years and years. And I think the hardest part is that if you're the business owner, that rejection can almost feel because it's so much about the personal brand, can almost feel like it's towards you.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
I guess in their perception it is. They of course they don't know who you are in general.
mm,
But to find those people that really align with you and really want to work with you, there's a lot of people that,
mm,
yeah, that have to be talked to that maybe just want free stuff as well, which is totally
yeah.
fine, right?
Mm, mm,
So at that point, it sounded like the biggest thing is that you were doing everything, but it was just not going to be sustainable to continue that 15K per month mark
yeah.
and do it. So in that case, what how did it happen for you in transitioning towards,
Mm,
working together, you and I?
yeah. So I said to Adam, I said, Adam, I can't continue doing this. Uh, we need to look to build out better systems. And I also knew, you know, I am more than I realized scaling and growing a business, you need a team. I knew that. There's no point, you know, taking home 100% of a small pie, right? I'm like I'd rather take home a lower percentage and make and have a bigger pie. Like you got to see you have to position yourself as a business owner, not as someone on Instagram selling a course, right?
Yeah.
Or you have to position yourself as a business owner selling an experience and helping people get a result. So I said to Adam, I need help. Like I know what my skill sets are. I can't do all this sort of stuff. So he knew you. He said, "Listen, I know a guy that is good with systems and basically streamlining everything. So I'll invite him into the conversation." So obviously, our best pals. He introduced you, and then that's when you came on and started to really lift up the hood and start to assess all the different parts of the business and start to streamline things. And I remember chatting to my wife at the time, and like obviously after a day of work, I was like, this guy, he's done this new thing. He's put these API connections in, and just creating all of these efficiencies that literally I didn't even know existed. Right? I mean, it's just not my forte. And this is the thing I learned really early on. It's like bring in people and collaborate with people who are really good in certain skill sets that I know what I'm good at. I'm good at coaching people. I'm good at guiding people through a process. I've got good at I've been doing podcasting for years. I've got relatively good at on camera now because that's part of the game. I know what my skill sets are. I'm not a technical guy. I'm not building out a system. That's not me. So what was fantastic is just the amount of automations among many things that you did, but you created some automations that just streamline stuff so you don't even have to think about it. And again, it's things that I didn't even know existed, man. Like all these different integrations you implemented, I was like, I didn't even know that was a platform. I didn't like. I remember when you first did like some at the time we were using Zapier, and I was like, what does that do? And you were like, oh, it connects this system, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Didn't know that sort of even was needed, So that was cool because it was like, you know, we live in this world of amazing, now it's all about AI, but there are some amazing tools that can really elevate someone's business and reduce the time needed to do really archaic things. Um, so that was from the get go. You were just like bang, 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 and I was like, wow. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see that bringing a lot of value, and I mean, ultimately, I think it's about the invisibility of it, right? Like you said,
Mm,
your forte. I believe the best relationships in business I have is with people that are very creative, very good at being an amazing personality for a lot of people. I can play that part a little bit, but I'm not. That's not my strongest suit. I
mm,
think the best approach for me a lot of times is just creating the backend. How does that support everything else?
mm,
So even as simple as, for example, when a call in Calendly is booked and sending that towards your CRM, either Google Sheets or something else. If you have to manually add that, or you just have it in Calendly and then you don't really know what happened with the call, how do you know to follow up with that person in 3 months? If they don't close
mm.
right now on the call. And so little things like that, all the way to, for example, ManyChat. Were you using ManyChat already by that stage?
No, man.
Uh,
Literally nothing. So many chat for the automations, creating different workflows, having a document that automatically was fed in the revenue. Like literally, I had nothing. I was just taking the cash and just, didn't have any idea of cash flow. I was just raw enthusiasm and trying to get sales, right? Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, you can't even count the amount of things you introduced into just creating seamless systems. Even the Calendly connecting to Slack so we know calls. But I mean, just so many things that you wouldn't even consider you need to do until you're like, oh, right, how come we don't know? No, where's the drop off? Oh, I have no idea. Because so it's just creating these systems are so good for just being organized and also seeing red flags in the system, like what needs to be fixed. Whereas when you don't have those systems in place, everything's manual, and then you're flying blind. You've got no idea. You can't see what part of the process isn't working. Um, so yeah, no, we weren't using ManyChat at all. We weren't using anything. Like I had Calendly for booking calls, but that was about it. Like there was nothing else.
right. Which is a great start, and the energy, like you mentioned, that's what kind of holds the business and scales it. But
Yeah,
then if everything breaks down around it, for example, I see a lot of people, they're setting on Instagram and they either they never or they have to scroll down just to follow up with older leads. It's
yeah.
like, how many times realistically are you going to do that and have the patience, and then maybe Instagram glitches up and then it just pulls you back up and then you have to go all over down. So
Mm,
ManyChat is a great tool for that in that case, for sure. The
mm,
other part of it, I think, obviously the systems are important, but I think, like you mentioned, you were doing everything, the setting, the closing.
Yeah.
So I think another thing that we worked on together was me getting into the DMs and then eventually getting onto closing calls to take you away from having to do it yourself, right?
Mm.
How was that
Mm.
transition for you, before and after? How did you feel about that?
Mate, it was a joy. Now, obviously, there's an integration period, and I think this is with any business because I'm selling a specific solution. So, for any business owner out there, the handing over of setting or closing, you have to, whatever your specific niche is, there's an educational piece for sure. But for me, handing that over was such a joy because then I could just, again, the stress of it, because again, the brand of me and the constant rejections, just not having that on my plate, and also because ultimately, I will. It's difficult not to react emotionally when someone doesn't turn up on a call, or you can't not because it's me. Whereas if I was working for someone, another brand, or say I worked for like, not even like a personal brand, just a brand, I wouldn't be upset if someone didn't turn up. I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Because you don't associate it with you as an individual. But when it's your personal brand and you're doing those things, it can be quite emotional to take it personally, which again is a skill you have to toughen up. So, uh, yeah, it was a great relief because then like my mind was freed up to then focus on, right, how do I make a really good experience for clients in the program? um, how do I create really compelling content on the front end? So I could then focus on really what my skill sets are. Uh, Also, having you coming in to, look at the setting piece and then also the closing piece, just seeing your expertise because again, I learned like the fast and quick way for setting. You know, there's like standard templates, but again, you being in the game for so long, you could see there was so much more to refine around each and every process. So even like with setting, it's like, what's the opening sequence of like what you meant? Like I wouldn't even have thought of that. I would have been like, hey man, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? There's a way to get the best interaction out of a client, take them through that setting process. So again, you looked at refining that whole methodology. Remember you doing A/B testing as well, because again, you can A/B test anything. And I didn't realize it. I just kind of thought, right, I found the standard template. I'll just make it. I'll just change out some words, put detox in, and actually there's so much you can do to optimize every single part of the process. So that was good. Again, just getting someone with experience to cast their eyes on it to be like, right, are you doing X, Y, and Z? And actually, we could tweak and have different formats and A and B test different ways of approaching setting. So that was really good. And then again, it's the flip side on the sales piece. So again, there's the element of you know educating a closer on what your speciality is. So obviously mine's detox. Uh, but again, it's understanding when you work with someone who's got who's got the reps in insane amounts of sales calls over years and years and years, and they're not the brand, they're not connected emotionally to it like I would be, you get different outcomes, right? And again, it's just again perfecting the process as you go through. Obviously the person who has the knowledge of the actual result, which was me, I was feeding into you about right this bit, this bit, this bit, but the actual foundation of going through a sales conversation was from your many many years of experience. So again, it just elevated the whole process, and ultimately I felt like I was freed up of something that I really didn't like. I just didn't like it because it was too emotional for me, and again I wanted to focus in on how can we grow the audience to get more people in, and then how can we serve the clients powerfully, because again if we serve them, they get the result they want. um, I mean, even yesterday we got a beautiful referral come in because we're giving the individuals in the program results. That creates a flywheel. So that's what I wanted to focus on. So I was more than happy to let go of those responsibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of grinding ultimately. Even if you're talking with
Mm.
people that are very nurtured in general, it does require a lot of energy, and ultimately that's the point. That's the friction point. So if you can focus on the creative side of content and then just giving client results, I
Mm.
believe it can be a great way to do things. And in the beginning, like you said, it's not always right away that it happens, right? Because you do need to learn the offer regardless, and that's what we were doing, was
Yeah.
mostly around that. figuring out the details. I even personally went through the program so that I could
Mm.
actually, know more or less what I was talking about. Because that's the key, right? A lot of people think sales is just like, yeah, we can help you. But nowadays, there's so many offers that if you don't tell people how it's different from what they've tried before, they won't really trust you easily anymore.
Mm.
If you don't show that you're an expert by saying, hey, this is poking holes of what they've tried before, and then showing how the process is different, it's harder to close those sales nowadays. I'm seeing compared to like 2 3 years ago, because obviously this online space moves so quickly. So
Yeah. Mm.
either way, I'm glad I was able to bring that value, and I mean we keep continuing that process every day.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so
Al-
at this,
al-
yeah,
Also, just to comment as well, just in terms of having a team doing those responsibilities, it creates a really strong feedback loop because you're feeding back what some objections might be or the types of avatars we're attracting. And then it's just, I can feed that back into the targeting or into the marketing and the messaging,
right,
right? So again, you know, you just don't, because sometimes you don't know what the blatant obvious changes you need to make until you've just got a team all working on their own thing. And, for example, we realized that, actually we need to create a more intermediate kind of message for people because actually people who are into this detox process, they're not newbies. They've gone on a journey. So again, we figured that out just through this refinement process, having multiple people in these different positions, collectively seeing, right, this is the message that resonates, and then that feeds back into my marketing, uh, and then you attract the right more of the right people. So uh, yeah, it's just again, it just creates a constant refinement. When you've got independent individuals in certain roles, all working collectively together for the end result, but you just get, I think this whole journey has been a constant just innovate. It's a constant innovation, right? Really exciting one because like we're constantly evolving and improving, and that we see that in the numbers, and yeah, that only can happen in a team like energy, right? Because you're all working together. You like you guys spot things that I wouldn't be able to spot, right?
yeah.
And then we don't on it, and then we deliver that either in the experience of the course or in the messaging to get people into the funnel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think even the VSLs, right, that we scripted all together, they were taking parts of what you were doing well in the marketing and
Mhm.
different things. And then the ads, what people were responding to. And then from there also the sales calls. Really. I just basically told you guys, this is what I'm seeing on the calls, is what people are,
Mhm.
the light bulb effect, where their mindset shifts. And I think as soon as we started doing that, the people in the DMs that were maybe not ready for a call, because a lot of people rush to just pitch the call after going through a checklist of questions. But I think what was really good is getting the VSL in for the people that were not completely bought in to you as a person. And we
Mhm.
clearly saw, especially when we reduced the VSL size to 15 minutes, more or less, that as
Yeah.
soon as they watched it, they would come back on their own next day and be 10, not 10 times, but maybe like 3 times more excited
Mhm.
to then, hop on a call and even ask about the program in the first place.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think that was really cool, actually, to see how marketing and sales connects in
Yeah,
this way.
man. And again, it was a collective effort, and we were all focused in on, I think we all add extreme value, So I think we kind of saw this, and then I built something out within 2 days, and then it was like, let's go. Built it out, put it up, you guys gave it the green light, and then, um, and again, that level of turnarounds, like you just can't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own because it takes time to see to really kind of conceptualize things when you've got multiple, it's basically think about the power of a mastermind, right? It's multiple minds on one thing. It's the same thing with, these types of businesses. If you've got multiple people energetically focused on one thing, you just move quicker through versus, you know, I'll do my setting, I'll do my closing, and, I always had ambitions and I still have huge ambitions of where this business is going, uh, and you're not going to do it on your own, man. Like just flat, it's just a flat truth. You have to have build teams, partner up with people who have the right mindset. I'm very heart centered in my approach to things. All believe in it. hence why I got you to go through the program because I was like, I want you to understand how powerful this stuff is, and you got the results. So, and then you all move forward. So, yeah, man, it's crazy how I think I look back and think how crazy because obviously since then I've moved to Portugal and you know how beautiful life is and how things happen because you know it's just it all happened very organically and it's just a lovely. I feel I'm in a very grateful position right now where I am. I'm really excited about where we're going, but it's just like it's great how these things all just fell into place, and ultimately that reflects in the results people get in the program and the revenue that's coming in month to month.
Yeah. And results first, exactly, and then revenue for sure.
Mm.
I think one thing that we can touch on last is the money, right? Because
Mm.
I think the biggest bottleneck right now is getting new ads to be working because there was one ad that was working really well last year, but then it phased off a little bit
Mm.
by the end, and now we've been trying to run multiple ads that are starting to work, but there's a lot of testing involved, right? So sometimes it can
Yeah.
take a little bit longer, especially with more advanced audiences. So even without having ads working, what is really cool is to see that your
Mm.
whole business right now is organic only. And on top of that, we're making what 20, 25,000 cash collected per month, every
Yeah.
single month. I think
Yeah,
it's
man.
been almost 6 months straight. And before that, it was close to 20. It was like 17 to 19K every
Yeah.
single month.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Sexy numbers, man. Really good. And yeah, again, it's just having those systems in place that we've been able to here's the thing, consistently make that money. Because how many times like, oh, good month, bad month, good month, like that is not a good way to run a business and that's stressful. So when you have these systems in place, when you have great team members in place partnering up, that's where like to consistently get that revenue coming in, that comes down from great people, great systems, and also everyone adding their value. So obviously, it's great that we're getting a lot of organic, and that's testament to the marketing, which comes from my ideas, your guys' feedback into how we need to be positioning ourselves. Um, but yeah, as I said, the key is consistency, like to consistently getting that number. And it's great for me as a business owner. I don't have to, I'm not, you know, there's no worry of cash in my mind. I'm not worried about is there enough money? I mean, that's never really been a worry, but it's not. And I know people, coaches out there, that might be a concern. It's like, I hope that person closes. I don't have that concern because I'm not even in that process. I'm not even involved in the sales process, right? My concern is getting people amazing results and making sure my marketing's good. Like that's all I focus my energy on. So yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, we just finished June with a record month, right? So and it's a lovely position to be where we're hitting these records, and on the graph we're doing this, and as I said, we're gonna hit that inflection point sooner than we know it, and yeah, we're working on the different ads, which again I love because it's a real creative process. I love that creative element to it, and um, and then it's great to like kind of unleash them to the world, put them on the IG and see what comes. Um, but again, as we've discussed, selling, I think Instagram, it's really easy to sell a program on how to make money. And actually, the playbook, the kind of the foundations of the playbook is there. But actually, when you're not selling a money program, there's there's more refinement needed. And actually, I think we're very close to cracking it. You know, um, so it's exciting, man. And again, it's good to be on this journey with people who are all committed to it, and we learn and grow with each other. And yeah, I mean, we're hitting record months, and once things start to turn on the ad side of things, then it'll just hit that inflection point.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's one step away, and I think this last month was also record month. Good timing to have this interview, of course,
Yeah.
but I guess it just happened even after we scheduled. So I'm honestly really excited because ultimately I also was struggling with some health issues. I had brain fog. I was sleeping 9 hours a night and still waking up tired. Seborrheic
Mm.
dermatitis. I couldn't wear dark clothing like this. It would snow basically on me,
Mm.
and it was just not pleasant. So I think that's ultimately why I like this industry so much, is that there's so many little problems, usually big problems that people are struggling with.
Mm.
And if we can have people like you just blow up and take over that section of the problem, or that problem entirely,
Yeah.
like we can help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that would have never known, and maybe would have gone down vehicles that are maybe not ideal, or mechanisms that are not
Mm.
ideal for them, and that won't fix the problem from the root cause. And hence your name, right? Root cause detox. So again, anybody that is out there, if you have any kind of brain fog, especially entrepreneurs that tend to
Yeah.
struggle a lot with working a ton, pushing their bodies to the maximum, feel free to check out Adam and what he talks about. And huge shout out to the other Adam, Abdel
Mm.
Halim, my great friend, who's a lot of this optimization process is done with him. Even both of us. This is obviously my side of the story, but he's
Mm.
50% responsible, if not higher, if not more, for the results we're getting today. So I would definitely recommend to check out. Ultimately, I think what's important for people to see is, if they're looking at me, right, and what I could do potentially for them, what are the people that should potentially look into book a call with me to see if it makes sense for
Mm.
them, or the
Mm.
people that shouldn't, and instead they should keep doing what they're doing right now, or finding somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. So if you have a vision to serve powerfully and scale your business at the same time, you have to work with individuals that can bring skill sets that you could figure out, right? You could do, but ultimately you want someone that lands in and just builds systems that create really effortless workflows. And also looking at all of the small systems and tweaking them. So again, the setting, whether you're closing or training a closer, there's so much optimization along the journey of running a business. And people who normally get in the coaching game, they normally have skill sets that's similar to mine. They have a skill, they've learned, they've figured something out, and they want to help people. Working with people who can be the yin to your yang, who can help build out systems that can help you scale and elevate. That's the secret in terms of being success and enjoying it. It's not nice being super stressed on, like entrepreneurship is stressful, but I'd rather be stressed on things that I'm enjoying versus things that I absolutely have zero interest in, right? Like systems, no, don't like it. So if you're ambitious and you understand it's about scaling has to be done with teams, and creating, I remember I was seeing the Steve Jobs quote. He talked about his greatest achievement. Like someone asked him, what's the greatest product you've built? Well, the greatest thing you've built. And he said the Macintosh team. He didn't say product, he said the team. You build a team of A players and things just take off. So Guido, you're definitely an A player. So you coming in and assessing what people need to do, you just increase and elevate everything else within the business, right? Because you're only as good as your systems, right? It's like James Clear, Atomic Habits. He's talking about habits. He's like, your life is determined based off the systems that you have. If your systems are crap, then it doesn't matter how hungry you are for it. You need systems first and foremost for things to work smoothly. Which again, you're the master at. And then on top of that, you know, if you're looking to refine certain systems, how are we approaching the closing? How are we approaching the setting? What's the workflow of how someone eventually lands on a call? All of that stuff. And that's stuff that, again, when I was doing it, I didn't even think that was something to optimize. I was just like, oh, yeah, just book a call. Here's the link. So again, the winners in this game are people that invest and they realize that they need to get people in who are expert in other areas that they need to just let someone deal with it and so they can then show up with their strengths versus trying to learn everything.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think more important, acquisition is getting more and more and harder in
Mm.
general,
Well,
especially with more competition, more access to attention. So it's going to be about product, in my opinion, as well as the delivery of said product. So the quality ultimately, and
mm,
then acquisition. So really being able to transmit trust to people, that you actually know what you're talking about. Because that's really it. As soon as people get into your program, they're always raving fans and they start referring people. Like last week, I closed somebody uh,
Mm.
that uh, we're honored to be able to serve because of it. I mean, you mainly obviously do the the delivery,
Mm.
but I'm responsible to help them get in. So those people, if we can't get them to trust us and show how you're different from everybody else, they might never get better. Their symptoms might always stay, or at least for a much longer time. Maybe they'll eventually get better, maybe not. But with
Mm.
you, it's a very, very good success rate. So we need to help more people.
Yeah, man, and it's about being heart-centered because I think here's the deal. I've invested in a lot of high-ticket programs over the years. Like I've invested in myself in all areas, mindset. I mean, I did a high-ticket program on funnels, right, a couple of years before. And the biggest thing is you don't know till you get through the castle wall. The castle gate lifts up, and then you figure things out. And the amount of money I've spent, where I'm like, I was super enthused, and then I was a bit like, it's a bit, it's all right. That kind of energy. So again, because I've done so many high ticket programs, I knew, right, I want people to be like, wow, this is amazing. So I think another element to this is community. And even today, we got a lovely comment from someone in the group saying, he's just joined. He's like, this community is nuts.
Yeah.
So again, I think that's another big play in this world of AI. How do you create a community there? They're all raving fans of the process. Main thing is getting the results, but a really good community. And then how do we portray that outwardly? Because again, people, I'm not saying all courses are bad, but some people feel let down or unsatisfied with an experience, or they're skeptical, natural, right? Because it's a big bad world out there in social media. So how do we portray what the reality is of actually being in the program? That's how again it's constant working with you guys and creating good marketing messages to show this is the experience that we've created within the community. It's all exciting, man. It's just again figuring this stuff out is so much more enjoyable when you've got you're working with a bunch of A players, right? Versus when I was back in the day, I was on my own, just like sat there in silence, just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something about coaching businesses as well. In this online space, coaches for coaches, let's call them.
Yeah.
A lot of good people out there with great intentions. And what I find is that they're really good at helping people one on one in the beginning to get really amazing results. And they can do that somewhat at scale as well. But a lot of times it's hard to match that for people that are, um, you know, can't keep up as much or have more baseline problems, like
Mm,
their offer is really not completely settled into their market. And so I think that's one thing that Adam and I have done really well, and specifically
mm,
myself, is just getting involved in the dirty work. And eventually the goal
mm,
is, of course, is to bring us a closer to do things for you and a full on setter. Um, so that things get done for you, but at the same time, and you own the systems, but at the same time you're not uh you're, you are in control still, right? You have access to everything.
mm,
We could go our separate ways if needed, and
mm,
you could stay running the next day, no worries
mm,
at all.
mm.
And that's the whole point. So as a team, but also you're fully free without a problem.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
man. And again, working with the likes of you and Adam to build those systems, because I never would have figured it out on my own. Because again, I don't even like that sort of stuff. So that's been a huge play as well. Just these systems that I just built, uh, extremely valuable, man, because it just creates a seamless workflow, and you can focus on the things that move the needle.
Yeah. And I'm sure you could figure it out, right? Like the same way that it took you 5 years to work on the detox stuff. But
Hmm.
I've put 5 years plus into closing, sitting, setting, and systems and all that. So why go through a 5 year cycle when you could just, get it from somebody else? So
Hmm. Mm.
yeah, makes sense. Well, regardless, I'm super excited. I thank you for the kind words, of course. And ultimately, this is an interlude. This is how I look at it. It's like, the show has only started, chapter one. And
Yeah.
now let's see, 6 months, a year time, how we're not going below 20K. We know that for sure. But now let's see
Hmm.
what kind of ceiling we can get to and set a new kind of minimum
Mm.
level, so that, you and your family can have an amazing life without worrying about anything. And you can go from good money to generational wealth eventually while still
Mhm.
helping a ton of people. So excited
Thank
for
you,
that.
brother. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I mean, we've got some audacious goals. We will hit them. It's not if, it's when. And I'm sitting in the law of assumption where we're going, and it's a great, enjoyable journey to be on it with you guys. Because we're all dialed in, we're all committed to the goal. So yeah, this is the interlude, and we'll come back in a year's time with a number many X on what we're hitting now.
Yeah, exactly. And the last part of the show is always the best. So I can't wait.
Mhm.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Adam. Guys, have an amazing week, day, month, and let's make it happen.
Thanks, Guido.